I'm your host, Dawn Taylor, and today I am talking to let's see how to word you. I'm talking to the firecracker, the warrior, the gentle, vulnerable spirit, probably one of the most misunderstood humans that I've ever had the opportunity to know. Tell me I'm wrong. Glori Meldrum. Before we get started, I want to just tell you a little bit about herself so you guys can be as excited as I am. Glori is a business leader, a mom, an author, a motivational speaker. She founded Little Warriors, which, if you know anything about me, you know that even just this last weekend, I did a massive drive and delivered a ton of stuff out to them. I am so passionate about them and what they do. As a survivor of sexual childhood abuse, she founded Little Warriors in the Be Brave Ranch, a first of its kind, world-class, evidence-based treatment center to help kids around the world who have been sexually abused. But she's also fought through a lot to get there. And that is really what we're going to be diving into today. So, Miss Glori Meldrum, welcome to the show.
Thank you, love. So nice to just be in your space, in your presence. It's been way too long since we had a big hug and a little snuggle. So I'm just happy to be with you today.
Oh, I'm so honored that you're here. So let's dive into this. What do you wish people talked about?
Gotta love you, Dawn, starting off with a loaded question.
I keep it so light. Come on.
No filter. Wow. Oh my. Most people are gonna think that I'm gonna pick sexual abuse. And I'm not. I'm actually gonna pick something that probably no one is ever thinking that I'm going to pick. And I think people need to talk about how sick we all are right now. How mentally unwell most people are, surviving the last kind of 3 years through COVID and all of these things, is that we're not talking about actually how sick we are, right? That, we're not talking about not being well. It's interesting, one-on-one conversations with just other leaders and sitting, and I mean, you know me, I cut to the chase and like, how are you doing? And if someone says good, I'm like, that's bullshit. Like, really, what's going on? And so I think that there's just a lot of, I'm okay, I'm good. And I don't think that any of us can be. If you look at, COVID and, inflation and more, people are 6 times the mortgage rate. Yeah. There's so much financial, emotional pressure. And for me, I went from being diagnosed with cancer, 3 years into my journey, and then COVID happens. And so the last 5 years for me have been an absolute grind, in every way. And, it doesn't mean that there's not lots of things to be grateful for, 100%. But I think that we all have to look at our behaviors. And I know that that's something, and you and I were chatting a little bit before we got on, is that, man, I have just been not in a good place. And, I think it's, I got cancer from being raped by my grandfather. I got HPV. So I had that to deal with. And I had a 52% chance that I was going to die. And, so for me, I'm starting now to process my own journey. I said to you before we got on that I've been coming off a drug that's a sedative called clonazepam. And it is a fucking asshole of a drug. It's taken me 9 months of syringe cutting, got it? Like taking by liquid to get off. And my head has been just like, I've emotionally been in a storm, which people be like, but you're speaking and you're doing all of and you're running businesses. And yeah, but am I really doing any of it well? Like, is all of this shit that I've created on my fucking plate, am I happy? Right?
So let's pause for a second. You said at the beginning of this, like, that no one can really be doing good. So here's something I want to challenge you on with that. I think it comes down to like the definition of what good is in a lot of ways, but also the level of good, but also who's in the ring doing the work. Right?
Yeah, I agree. Is that I think that you've got people, and I call them the Walking Dead, and I love all of the Walking Dead. And what I mean by that is that disassociated, going through the motions,
Yes.
like robots. I'm not there. I'm in the fucking arena doing the work. And it is, so when I say, okay, it's, I'm in the arena, the people that are in the arena, like they're fighting to figure out how to move through the swamp, the arena to get to the other side. The Walking Dead don't even know there's an arena, right? And being in the arena,
and I do like that. I do like that because I think that a lot of people listening are going to be like, no, but I'm doing really good. Like I'm fine. And it's the same as like I run into this all the time with my work is people are like, yeah, but I don't have trauma. And I'm like, there's not a person on this planet that doesn't have some sort of trauma in their life. Trauma is anytime your nervous system was jarred. Have your parents gotten divorced? Have you ever like have you been bullied? Like, come on. And yeah, it is almost like they're the Walking Dead. And I don't, I know this doesn't sound weird or maybe not appropriate. I don't begrudge them that. I'm like, you
I
whatever.
don't either.
You
I was
live,
there before.
you live in
Right?
your happy land. You do your thing. But I also know that having been in the arena and having fought so fucking hard to mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually be where I am, like it has been so much work. And if I have ever made it look easy from the outside, I apologize because it hasn't. But yeah, when you are like diving into that arena and you're really doing the work, like it is hard. And I do think that people aren't talking about how they all need to get in the arena right now.
Well, and I think that the arena isn't, it's bloody, it's messy, it's, I get why people don't want to go in there. And there's parts of my life that I've been walking dead and just been existing. But at 50, I'm on the later side of life. And, you know, God gives us all this opportunity to build the life that makes us happy. And, you know, I'm just in the pursuit of finding that. And I find, you know, pieces and build and all of those things. But, you know, that is the ultimate piece is really just finding that happiness, that self-love, that connected to spirit, all of those pieces. Right. But I can tell you, I don't know if it's coming off the meds or turning 50, but, you know, I just realized like I'm the problem.
Yep.
I'm the problem. I am, I don't know how to get off a treadmill. I mean, you know, raise 4 kids, 4 businesses, all the little warrior stuff. I've been working 100 hours a week for 15 years. No wonder I'm fucking spent, right? But I get that I built it. So why did I build a life full of all of this chaos? But the beautiful thing about awareness is I know now, I took a 1-month sabbatical off in January. It's really the only big break that I've ever taken. And my girlfriend, Ange, I went to Palm Springs and we did a bunch of traveling, but there's a video of me, she's driving the golf cart and, you know, we're driving by all these flowers and hitting these bumps. And honestly, I see a 10-year-old little kid in there. I'm laughing, I'm giggling. It was the best 30 days of my life. I had no anxiety. I had nothing. Even she, honestly, Dawn, she's like, Glori, I have never seen you this happy. And what I realized is that I've been giving to everybody else in my own patterns, right? And I've not looked after my own self, right? I've not said no, stop. Like I've not chosen to get off the treadmill. I just keep letting it fill my ego, right? And it wasn't until my husband said, he's like, Glori, what's enough? Like you've done more than most people in the world. Like, when's it fucking enough, Glori? And that my husband doesn't say much, but when he does, you listen. It's like,
oh, I have one of those husbands too.
Right. But it is enough. And I don't need to do anything else to be enough for God. I already am, you know? And so for me, I'm really working on, and I'll even tell you, I made a list today before I came in. Like
awesome.
I am the other day, you know, I had a staff and I sent them just a really quick blunt email about you know, that the what they had prepared wasn't where it should be. But I was reflecting on that, being like, you know, I should have took the time to focus on the conversation, be in that moment, and not respond as an asshole because I'm busy. Being busy doesn't give me the excuse to be an asshole.
Okay,
Right?
pause right there for a sec. Say that again. Being busy does not give me the excuse to be an asshole.
Yep. Being busy does not give me, and trying to save the world does not give me the right to be an asshole.
Okay, can everyone listening not just like hear that, take that to heart, and then spread that to all the assholes in your life?
But it's
I feel
also
like it's like this wild justification right now. It's like, oh, but I'm busy. And I'm like, no, 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 you can still pause. Okay, so this is one of my weird ones with that is like, I've been paying attention lately to how people treat wait staff. Going to a networking event, going for a coffee with someone, doing a lunch with someone, whatever it is. And I'm like, do you have enough? Are you solid enough in yourself that you can even pause our conversation, pause what you're in the middle of, pause you checking your phone, look the person in the eye and go, thank you. When they set the food down, do you have the capacity to even do that? And it's mind blowing how little of it I'm seeing.
well, but I think it's important to dig deeper why that is that every people are not well. And if you're not well, Dawn, then you are explosive and rude and you're not in that moment. And so I don't judge people being in that space. I have to be accountable for mine, but I
Oh
don't
no, it's
judge.
not even a judgment, it's a curiosity.
Yeah. But for
Right?
me, they're being that way because they're not well. So what I'm saying at the beginning of the podcast is that if people are unwell, Dawn, like they're not functioning. And so instead of being, you know, I have been that person that I've been focused on something else. There's been a disclosure and I'm not even looking at the barista, right? So I think that for me, it's some of the things that I learned on my cancer journey was like just that non-judgment and that acceptance and that radical love for people is that we're all fucked up. We're all trying to figure out shit in life. We all want to do better. And I just love people for even trying because
Yeah.
life is beautiful, but life isn't easy, you know? And I'll tell you, like going through the cancer journey, like I didn't realize how judgmental I was, how unaccepting, and that I didn't understand grace. And those are the really three of the gifts that cancer did give me was that piece, right? But you know, I gotta not be going 1,000 miles a minute, focus on the conversation. You know, another piece is like listening to understand, not listening to respond to get it off my plate.
Oh,
All day
yeah.
it's rapid fire and it's like, yes, you know, yes, no, blah, 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 blah. No, it's like, Glori, stop, understand what that person's trying to do, right? What they're trying to say. And instead of going like the to-do list is so bad, you're just like, tick, tick, tick. But no, like I
Totally.
actually have to listen to understand. And because there's so much on my plate, I don't. But that's not everybody else's fault. I chose this journey, right? And I can choose to make changes to that journey, right? And, you know, the other thing too, and this one is a humbling one, is that when I'm in that place of go, 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 I'm like really direct and really blunt. And that's why a big piece about being misunderstood is I'm non-filtered, I'm direct, I'm blunt, and most of the times it's in a really good way and people connect with it. But when I get busy,
The intention is pure. The intention is amazing behind it. But I get told I'm too blunt sometimes. I always feel misunderstood. Yeah.
you know, but I'm honestly, there's another thing. I don't even care anymore. If I get that people are like, oh my gosh, I've heard it all. She does Little Warriors because she wants the brand. Well, nobody wants to be the face of child sexual abuse. So you can that one. You know, in the sector side, I'm the rich bitch. On the entrepreneur side, I'm the socialist. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't give a shit anymore. This is me. This is who I am. This is the stuff I'm working on. And I'm working on being less abrupt when I'm not rooted in love and more of a mentor and using the things that I've learned and that wisdom to be able to show up for people. So how do you switch when you're go, 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 go. You got to stop and be rooted back in love. So that's something that I'm working on right now, is like, stop,
Beautiful.
Glori. You're not rooted in love. You're rooted in anxiety. Got it? You got to step back and seeing it and pulling yourself back. That's a beautiful thing about awareness, is once you have it, you can't go back.
No.
You might be trying to figure it out for a very long time, but you can't go back, right?
No.
You know, another thing I realized is how negative my thoughts are. And once again, it might be the meds. It might be that I'm really exhausted, but man, is there some negative shit going on in my head? And it's just last night, Dawn, that I'm like, Glori, stop it. Be grateful to God for all of the things that you've prayed for, that he's given you. Being cured from cancer is one, and that should be enough. But every day you want more. Stop it.
Yeah.
Be fucking grateful for what you have. But that's the trauma wired in me, right? You know, and you too, is like, it's just changing that conversation in my own brain and just being grateful for every little gift, right?
You know what? One of the things that I started years ago was telling, like, and I remember the moment it happened, and it was a situation with my dad and his wife. And I was like, you know what? I love you, but I love me more.
Yeah.
And that was a big piece of it, was like, having been raised and having gone through so much trauma that had taught me to the core of my being that I wasn't lovable, that I was unlovable, right? It was like, I'm doing these things, I'm acting in this way, I'm pushing in this way, I'm driving. My drive is coming from this place of almost like a desperation, but also from a place of like, I don't love me and I don't believe I'm lovable. So how do I earn that? How do I? And for mine was very tied to like this rejection from conception, right? Of my own mom, that I was like, I always felt like I almost had to like pay penance for what I had been through, and pay penance for like the harm I had caused or the stress I'd caused people. So I carried this like weight in the back of my mind at all times about like the debt that I owed everybody around me, even just for being alive. Never mind if I was short with them, or if I was sharp with them, or if I said something inappropriate, or if I did something wrong, or right, or I screwed up or fucked up in some way. And what it came down to was like, I didn't love me.
I think that's the root of everything, Dawn, to be honest.
Right. And so as I started to to grab that, and it was quite a few years ago that I was like, no, I love you, but I love me more. And that's okay. And that's where my healthy boundary is coming from. And that's where I can take steps back, right? Like even last night, I'm the queen of working too much. I now have this like thyroid issue where I can't, because if I work too much or I have too much stress, it'll actually kill me. And I'm like, I had a meeting last night and I called the woman and I was like, hey, can we reschedule till next week? And she's like, yeah, are you okay? What's going on? And I was like, I don't have the capacity. And I know that to hit my goals this month or this year or this quarter, whatever, I need to have this meeting today and not next week. But I love me more than I love my bank account. I love me more than I love the check mark on the list that I got something done. I love me more than this concept of busy that's going on out there, because my intention behind this action is no longer healthy.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. And I think that that is something that more people need to figure out.
Yeah. Well, I think if we all love each other and love ourselves, like the world is like going at it's like a high-speed train. We've never seen this much change and this much, it's too fast. The world goes way too fast. And that's also, if you listen to any of the Gabor Mate stuff, which I'm sure you do, is like, fuck, this is not sustainable. This is on crack. This is crazy. The pace that we're all on, like, look at the opioid crisis, suicide, the mental health crisis, all of it. It's too much, Dawn. Like, it's too much, you know, and it's too much. We got to get back to the simpler things, right? This pace will kill us. Yeah. It'll kill me. Yeah. And I'm making the choice not to run as hard anymore. Right.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job. And we need to. We totally need to. And so this week is a big one for me. Today is 27 years my husband and I have been together, the day of recording. Friday is 25 years since the aneurysm, and Monday is my birthday. So I have like every year I have this like 5-day window that is very intense emotions. And you'd mentioned earlier about like a 52% chance that you were not going to survive cancer. And I had a similar situation where it was like they told me 50% chance I wouldn't make 10 years without dying of a second aneurysm, and nobody made 20. And I'm sitting at 25 in 2 days. Right. And I lived in fear of that death for so long, and in fear of this like D-Day, as I call it, for so long that now I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm not. I'm refusing to live in the fear of that anymore. And I have to. It's not even an option now. I need to, and I have to wake up every single day and go, okay, what am I going to do today to make an impact? What am I going to do today to keep me healthy? What am I going to do today to love on myself and the people around me that deserve it?
Yeah, no, I
Right.
absolutely get it.
And I refuse to kill myself. Right. When it comes to like the work and the stress and all of the other things, I'm like, no, no, no. My boundaries have never been healthier. They've never been stronger. Right. Because of that. And so one of the things we were talking about earlier was you and I have been in the ring. We've been in the ring for a really long time, right? But you and I have also chosen to do things to help people outside of us and not die.
100%.
Right? Not allow what's happened to us take us out and kill us and destroy us and cause any of that. Yeah, it's created some unhealthy habits or tendencies in both of us. 100%. Is I think it's what we love about each other, right? Is we both have that drive and that intensity. But we've also done something with it. So for somebody who's listening to this today and they're like, but the ring is bloody and it's gory and it's gross and it's whatever. What are some like easy steps we could give people or easy tips we could give people of like, no, 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 start here. Start
Yeah.
here or start there or make it bigger than yourself. Because I know for myself, one of my big pivot moments was somebody had told me, you need to figure out how to take the abuse and take all this trauma and turn it into something good. You should meet my friend Glori Meldrum. And I remember coming to your office downtown and sitting on your couch in your office and asking you about like volunteering and
I remember, dear. Yeah.
right. And I started showing up at Be Brave Ranch every Saturday and volunteering my time and my energy, like physically, like washing walls and packing garbage and doing all of these things. And there was this documentary thing that happened called Building Be Brave, and we'll link
Yeah.
it in the show notes for anyone who wants to check it out because it's on YouTube about the building process of the ranch. But that was one of the things I did was I was like, I have to take what happened to me and I have to find a way to give back. You took what happened to you and you started this like world-renowned charitable organization, right? So I'm sure people listening are like, I don't have that capacity. I don't know how to do that. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. What are some basic steps we could give people to be like, no, 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 these are some easy ways to like start getting in the ring?
I think that, and it was interesting, I had just a coffee that I remember recently is, about this conversation. And I really started with who are you and what makes you happy, right? Because I think that we don't ask that. And then when we shut down, we're not present in our relationships with our spouses or our friends. And so one of the things that I say to people when they're like, I really want to, but I just can't. And I'm like, you know what? You've already started. You were just completely vulnerable with me in where you're at. Is there a few other people in your life that are safe that you could share your feelings where you're at? The first step in the arena is making the choice to get in the arena. That no matter what, that you want to find that pot of gold at the end of your journey, that is joy and happiness and self-love and all of those things. And so it really is a choice. And sometimes I run out of the arena. Like I'm not always in there. Sometimes I'm like, okay, guys, I had enough of this shit today. Like, and I run, and then I got to get back in. Like, it's not, you come and go from the arena. But the arena is where the work happens. And we don't learn in life from the light. We actually learn in the darkness, the deepest of things. That's where I found my faith.
Yes.
It's all of the struggles in my life are where I found all of my experience and gifts and lessons and wisdom in those pieces. So it's a choice to discover yourself, getting into the arena. And it's ugly, like I'm a lot. Like I literally am at a point, I'm like, man, like I'm in my own way, like I'm a lot. And so how do you balance I'm a lot, with learning and finding those boundaries and those pieces? Is that I don't have any, I've just been to the arenas on an hourly basis, and I know it well. But it's never easy. Like it's never gets easy going back in there to figure shit out. Right. And I've probably never realized that I was getting in my own way of things like I have today. Right. And that's probably like just in the last week. And so we make the choice to get in the arena. We make the choice to be vulnerable. We make the choice to be, I'm okay, I'm good, everything's great, everything's great. Well, you know what? No, it's not. Like, yes, in moments it is, but you can't tell me that everything's great and there's not something that you're working on, right? If you're in the arena, there's always something that you're working through, right? And, I'm okay and I'm good. If you're saying that all the time and everything's great, you're kind of full of shit, like it's muddy. And if you're great, maybe you're not looking in the mirror, right? And what the work is and what you need to unravel. And the mirror is it's an asshole, you know what I mean? It's
it can be.
It's the best teacher, but you got to look at that and be willing to look at the pieces of you that are ugly and the pieces of you that are beautiful. I always say to people, I'm beautifully broken. Right? I am beautifully broken, and so are you. We all are. And I think that when we do our own work, that's how we heal the world. And the reason the world's so fucked up right now is
no one's doing the work.
And the people that we consider as leaders, politicians in business that, are chasing the money or chasing the career, like that's who we respect. And celebrities, like, it's a celebrity, power, ego culture, right? It's hard to be on the other side being like, oh my, it's a small group of people getting in that arena, right? Like, I think that if you look at it, it's 10% of people, and I'm probably being generous, that are actually awake and doing the work, and 90% that don't want to touch it, right? I think about how many deep conversations I have with people that will actually go somewhere, and I'm pretty open, and it's slow moving. Most people are like, oh my gosh, did you just dump all that on me? And you're so honest. I'm like, yep. Right. I'm not going to sugarcoat where things are at. Right. I mean, the other thing you add to the journey is, we've never seen child sexual abuse this bad, Dawn, in the last, it's gone 1,400% for disclosures, and we have no beds left. And, it's been a stressful time, but I know it'll pass. I know we'll get the money we need to expand the ranch. God always provides. Like, that's another thing, is that faith piece of, you don't need to know the next step. You just need to know that God's got you. And that surrender piece. That's another piece I'm really working on, is surrendering all the doing and just being. But it's probably my most complex lesson on the journey. And I get it, and then I don't get it.
But it's control. It's control, right?
The opposite is control, yeah.
It is. And so that's really scary. I often tell clients when they're trying to like just get to the point where it's like, okay, can I face anything negative or hard there, any like whatever's gone on in my life? And I'm like, start with sitting with an uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, that's it. Step one. If you have an uncomfortable feeling this week that comes up, or like you're angry or you're sad or you're frustrated or you're hurt, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Sit in it. Don't pick up your phone. Don't turn on the TV. Don't start a conversation. And I always picture, Brené Brown talks about like the get right into it. And I always picture like, when you sit on a beach and you like wiggle your butt in the sand to like make your little butt pocket spots. Yeah. Everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. We've all done it, right? You just do your little wiggle. And I always say like, just sit in it for a sec. Sit in it and be like, hi, how are you? What does this feel? What am I feeling? Where is this coming from? I say, because it's amazing how just like sitting in that emotion, and I'm talking like This isn't a vague concept, people. This is literally sit your butt on a chair and shut up and sit, like just rest yourself and open up your brain to this feel. Just open yourself up to this feel to be like, what is this? What is this? And where is it coming from? And am I okay with it? Is this even like, is this the appropriate emotion for what happened? Is this something from somewhere else in my life? Like, those are some easy questions you can even ask yourself in that moment. But even starting there, we are so scared of being uncomfortable that the thought of being vulnerable, the thought of being honest, the thought of actually saying, like, yeah, I'm really hurting today, is so hard. And it is so scary that sometimes that's the easiest step to start with.
I
Is
think that
just sit in your discomfort for a minute.
Yeah, no, I agree that you got to feel those feelings, and, you know, not just emotionally, but also in your body, right? So
Yeah.
it's not fun. Like, I feel I'm in 9 months of being in that, sitting in that uncomfortable space, like the entire time, right?
Yeah.
But it's a season, you know, there's seasons that, you know, and I think for me this month will be a bit of a shift. And there's lots of great things, like, you know, we're doubling the size of Little Warriors. We're building
Wow.
our lighthouse, which is the first adult treatment center for people like you and I that were sexually abused as kids.
Yeah.
And so that is the next kind of iteration of where Little Warriors is going. And so there's all these really exciting things. And I think about the things that I'm learning that we discussed. And although it's been, you know, a journey to kind of figure them out, is sitting with those today and just being like, you know, these are things that I really need to focus on, right? You know, no one's harder on me than I am on me, ever. And I think that's probably why I don't care about what other people think, is that I don't need their stuff, good or bad. You know, I know deep down that I'm not that unlovable little girl that I felt like, that I would never be loved and I wasn't worthy of it. I know that I am a good human being,
Yeah.
that my intentions are always pure, always. But they sometimes don't come across that way if I'm really rushed or whatever, and I'm, you know, really quick on text. You know, is sometimes they don't, right? And that can be hurtful to people, and that's not okay, right? And I always say, like, in a difficult situation, what did you learn? And I always think it's fascinating, you know, and if people are in a fearful place, they're like, I learned that da 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 da, basically that it's all the other person's fault. And it's like, no, you're not, you're actually not learning. Like, this is what I see, and this is my learning out of it.
Yeah.
Is I always joke about forgiveness. I think it's such a fascinating thing, is that
Oh, it is. Yeah.
I say, when it's not, say if I contributed 2% to the situation, 10 or 5 or 50 or all of it. Do you know, John, that I take it all? You know what? I will take it all. I am sorry if I made you feel that way. That was not my intention. I'm telling you, I am sorry. I am sorry. I am sorry. I don't give a flying fuck who owns it. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we can reconnect and move on and learn and grow. Be the brave person that just says, practice it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, we don't, and when I think back to how many people have ever actually apologized when they've been a shithead to me, it's very low. Like, but it doesn't matter, Dawn, because at the end of the day, I know where that comes from and why they were going to be an asshole, and I can't judge them. I'm an asshole sometimes. You're not, we're all an asshole sometimes.
Well, and then the actions that go with it. Like, words are one thing, but are you changing your actions?
You got to look in the mirror and be like, you know what? This is the stuff that isn't very great about me. I got to work on it. But these are the things that are amazing about me. Got it? I want to own those things too, right?
You know what's sorry, keep going.
It's the balance. It's the balance of, but when you love yourself and you know you're good, you can look in the mirror at those things that you got to work on, right? But, you know, you can always tell where someone's at when you ask that question about what did you learn from, and especially courageous conversations. Like, I really find now people are running from them. They're getting triggered and they don't have them. But you got to have them. You got to have them, Dawn. That's how we learn, is courageous conversations. You can't run. Like you
No.
can't run. It's going to find you. It's your lesson. You got to work it through with the person, and out and love people enough to be courageous and talk about the conflict, right? And get uncomfortable. Get fucking uncomfortable in your life.
You know what's
Right?
funny is and like I've done a lot of work. And I'm at this point in my life now where my husband laughs at me because when I find, those little scabs, that look in the mirror moment where you're like, oh, that's a thing. I have to figure that out, or I have to work through that, or there's something there to process. I get excited. And I think it's because like I've gone through it so many times, I've fought in the ring so many times that I'm now at a point where I'm like, I know what it feels like on the other side. Like when you push through the hard thing, how amazing it is on the other side. I'm not saying the process of working through it is exciting and amazing or easy, but when those things come up, instead of being like, oh, fuck, here we go, I'm like, oh, cool, new level. Right? Like it's like I've really shifted I had to shift my perspective on that because there were so many traumas that had compiled for so many years and there was so much baggage to go through that it felt like my brain was like the Toronto airport in COVID with like the luggage stadiums. Did you see any of those pictures online?
Yeah.
Like that's what it felt like with my trauma. And I was like, I don't even know where to start. So if I look at it as just overwhelming and it's just hard and it's just horrible and this is going to suck horribly to go through, I shut down. Where if I was like, no, I just got to figure out one suitcase. I just need to find one piece of luggage and hand it to their owner. And then I can grab a second one and I can hand it to their owner, right? Like when I could shift it to look at it in that way and be like, it's okay. It's okay. Right? Like
Bite-sized pieces, right? Like you
little
can't eat
bite-sized
the whole elephant.
pieces, right? I don't have to deal with a whole stadium of luggage today. I can just do this little bite-sized piece. That made it so much easier for my brain
Yeah,
and made
no,
it so much less scary.
yeah, I think it's like anything in life is that it's just one step at a time, right? Like
Yeah.
once you decide to get in the arena and do the stuff and like, but you made a point that people will look at me and assumes different things. Is I'm still on the path, man. I'll always be on the path. I'm always going to do the work. But I really do try to show up every single day. I might not do well. I'm the fly or the windshield. It depends on the day, but I'm in there, I'm doing the work, right? And, the people that I surround with in my life are the people doing the work. People getting in the arena or already in the arena, right? Yeah. Those are the people that I respect because I know how hard it is, right? I know how hard it is to get in there and to do the work.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, for people listening, get in the damn arena. I promise it's worth it. I promise it's amazing. And there's so many of us here to support.
Well,
Right?
we're living in a trauma world. Like really the trauma level in the world is off the charts right now. Like if we can find our own way back to ourselves, then we can find our way back to each other. And I think that that's the main thing that's missing right now, Dawn, is that we're individually lost and we're lost as a collective, right? But it's through self that we're going to be able to find that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
That piece is that the more people get in the arena, then the world changes. But until we all get in, right? So we can just shine our light, have this conversation, and hope that more people, and more people will join us, right?
Yeah, it's why I do the work I do.
100%.
It is, because it's like if I can make that impact, if I can make an impact and get one person in the arena or 2 people or 10 people or 1,000 people in the arena, they can go and help other people do the same.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's what matters. So I know you have a hard out. So this episode is going to be a little bit shorter because as you've heard, Glori is very bored with her life and has nothing going on. I mean, she doesn't have a chaotic schedule at all. I am just so honored that I even got this hour of her time.
You know what, dear, I'm so grateful to have been able to connect and share just this honorable, vulnerable space of where we're at. And if you ever meet me and I ask you how you are,
be honest.
be honest, because I'll keep prodding to really figure it out. I love being
Right?
curious about where people are in their lives in that arena, or getting into the arena, or see the arena. Like I just love that piece, you know. And I mentioned before about just tribe and people that you're surrounded with. Like when I got sick, John, it wasn't my tier one friends, eh? The friends that I had fun and we laughed and we giggled and we drank wine and we shopped. It wasn't those friends that had me, that held me up.
Never.
It was
It
my
never
tier
is.
two. My tier ones, like literally some of them walked away after 25 years. It was my tier two that stepped up. Juliana, that you know, my girlfriend Sarah, like, you know, there was a group of them, and now they're my tribe. That tier one is gone, and that tier two is now my one, and they are my rocks. They are all in the arena. They would take a bullet for me. I would take a bullet for them. My
But when
God,
you weren't, but when we're not in the arena, we attract people that aren't in it.
100%.
Right.
Like,
And those were those tier ones.
Yeah, Juliana was over washing my hair because I was so depressed when I had cancer that I was so sick. She was washing, I couldn't wash my hair. Like that's like, I am so blessed to know the depth of real friendship, real
Oh, I love it.
sisterhood, you know, real brothers. You know, they had me, and I'll always have them. Juliana one time said to me, I worry you're gonna get where you need to go and you'll never remember me. I said, sweetheart,
Yeah, you're like, you're not going anywhere.
what we've shared can never be taken. The journey that my friends shared with me on the cancer journey, my girlfriend Sarah being like, you're 1% better this week. And I was like, really? Oh my God, I'll take it. Because I was so ill. But every day she'd talk me off the roof, you know, like they got me better. They got me functioning again. My team at G Squared, my team at Little Warriors, like they had me, Dawn. You know, like they held me up when I was so weak I couldn't stand. And, you know, if you don't have that tribe, look in the mirror and say, why don't I have that tribe? Is it because I'm not in the arena and I'm attracting all of these other people? Right? Like who you attract is where you are in your space, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So
I
an
love
absolute
it.
privilege to be with you, dear. And I'm going on the adventure of a lifetime to Italy. And, you know, I'm sure that I'm going to learn lots and, you know, continue unraveling that onion and that journey that is my own personal one, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
which is so
I look forward to
powerful.
connecting when I'm back.
So let's ask you, I have a few silly questions at the end of every single episode that I'm going to ask you like I do everyone
All right.
else.
I don't know these. It's going to be fun.
I love it. What is your secret guilty pleasure way to decompress? And I've heard it all.
Um, to decompress.
Your silly thing. Like, is there a TV show? Is it, I mean, I had one person say masturbation. Like, I've heard it all, literally.
Oh, I have like a whole bunch of things. Like hot yoga, I love. I love watching TV. It's a bad thing, but it does
No, not at
decompress
all.
my brain.
Okay, what kind of TV are you watching?
Oh, like all the gangster shit, the action, the right? The other thing is I blare Eminem. So I love Eminem and I love
Me
Lauren Daigle.
too.
People are like Christian music to rapper. I'm like, I know. You know, I love that. You know what? I love to dance. I love to play Eminem and dance in the bathroom in the morning and just get my groove on. Like I've got a whole track in my Spotify of grooving. And I'll just like literally like be like, you know what I mean? Grooving
in the zone.
just being silly, you
Okay,
know? Like,
I love that
silly.
so much. I love that so much. And I'm sure anyone listening that knows you is like, what?
Oh,
Or they're
so
totally
funny.
loving it. Or they're totally loving it.
People assume they're like, oh my gosh, you love country? I'm like, I grew up in the Maritimes. Yeah, judge me. I don't care. I listen to Kiss It every day. You know, like it's at the end of the day, I'm that little girl from the Miramichi. You know, I will always be that Glori. You know, I've just grown up and learned, but at the end of the root of who I am is still that little girl, right? You know, like
we never get too far away. We never get too far away from those roots and where we grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Describe yourself in one sentence.
Oh shit. And for a person that does a lot of media, I'm like, God,
It could be totally silly.
You know, I'm gonna pick a word that I am and that I want to be.
Perfect.
So I'm like, I would say most people be like, she's driven as anything, like driven or gritty, resilient, those pieces. But what I actually want my word to be, one word, is love. And
Love it.
that's it. I want to, people will be like, you know what? Glori is just love. That's it. Love.
So she's a driven, motivated, gritty ball of love.
But I actually want to get rid of all those other words and just be like, I'm love. In every area of my life, I'm just love. I come from love, right? I am love. And that's the journey that I'm working on to get to. And I'm there lots, but I'm not there all the time. And so I'm working to get to that space.
That is so fun. And then last one is, what do you spend a silly amount of money on?
Well, I lost like 40 pounds and I'm like a zero. And so I've traded in all my designer stuff. I'm not even kidding. Like, this is how much my life has changed. I'm like, why do I have all this shit? How can one person own this much stuff? And I had a really bad shopping habit. That I'm financially do really well. So it didn't matter, but it's an addiction. Like, why do I need to have that bag or that? So now it's really funny, my addiction and like what I spend silly amounts on. You're going to laugh. I'm like a thrifter. I went to Plato's Closet and got a jean skirt for $10 and one for $20. So I would say now that I'm also morphing into my own physical body. That body that had all that extra weight, there was a reason, right? It's never, there's a reason we have health problems. There's a reason we carry extra weight.
100%.
A reason that we overeat. And so for me, I think that my journey is also aligning. If you look at the things that I'm working on and how much weight I've shedded, like, that's wild. So my silly thing is like Aritzia. I'm like, I can wear tank tops. I don't have a stomach anymore. And I'm like, I'm sure my kids are absolutely fucking mortified that I'm in like Levi's and a little tiny top, like at 50.
Mama's flat her stuff.
Mom's totally not, but like, so I'm kind of spending a lot of money on like little crop tops and Levi, like things that I was never able to wear. Right. And not that I was ever big. I mean, even coming from this, I was a size 6, but I didn't, like, I don't need all this shit anymore. So my husband's like, what are you doing with all the money? I'm like, travel fund, baby. We're going to go to Greece and I want to go to Ireland and I want to go to Dubai. So I'm trading in my shopping for travel. Now I literally just buy things that are inexpensive because it makes me happy. So I'm getting rid of all the expensive things and being like, I feel great in this shirt and these jeans. Right.
It doesn't matter. It really
even if I'm horrifying my kids, it doesn't matter.
No, I love it. So thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thank you, darling. Thank you.
And I hope that something that you heard today as a listener hit home, shifted something in you, and proved you're not alone. Join us again in 2 weeks for another amazing topic. And please tell your friends. The more people that feel understood, the better. Check out the show notes located at thetaylorway.ca for more information and for all the contact information for Miss Glori Meldrum and how you can support Little Warriors as well. Subscribe now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you love the show, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a rating and a review.